That was awful. Here's your very first vent session of the season.
At the bounce, wants to take them on, runs to 50, runs inside, a sidestep, another bounce, has the shot. Oh, baby!
Welcome back to Further North, everybody. The first therapy session of the year is here. The vibes are high. Joel is here. Hello, Joel. How's life, mate? Sports sucks.
Yeah, no, sport sucks. No positivity around here at the moment. But hey, it's our first practice game, and it's our first practice sad match for the year.
True.
So
We're really just warming up the
combination
emotions that we are so consistently using over the last few years. We're making sure they're in tune for the year. We're going to try and break this one down for you guys. I would love to bring the positivity today, but let's start with just a raw feeling after the game or during the game. Like, how early in the game, Joel, did you know we were cooked? And after the game, just give me a raw reaction of how you're feeling.
Oh, yeah, no, it's pretty gutting to watch it. I mean, I don't take practice or sim games that seriously because each club is trying to achieve different things, is the way I'd put it. However, there was Melbourne, to their credit, when they came out with a real intent to play and chase hard. And even later in the game, you saw those moments where they were coming into contests very hard and there was a strong intent of them to keep going, where it really felt like we were just going through practice. Like, it was just, we weren't trying too hard and we weren't working too hard for most of the game. A couple of really baffling choices, like we could bring in a squad of 28 and we brought in only 24.
Why do you think
which
that
is just
might
a bit
be?
of a... I can't think of a great reason. The only possible thought I have in that situation is that they're just trying to get full game minutes into the people's legs, ready for the start of the actual season. Melbourne brought in 28, obviously. So, I mean, the end of the game, the last half and a bit, Melbourne had a lot fresher legs, obviously, and ran really strongly over the top of us. But that's still not an excuse for what was really poor intent and really poor just general matchcraft. A couple of times from clearance we were really belted. A couple of times, transition defense doesn't look like it really improved, which has obviously been something that I've been harping on about every time I come on the pod. Is that something we really need to fix and something I really think we need to work on? I mean, as I said, early days. Like I said, it's sim game one. There are some positives to take away from it, but overall, it's a very deflating experience to watch that.
Yeah. And I think after all of what we've been through as a fan base for the last 5 or 6 years, getting that dished up for the first competitive hit out is just so gutting. And let's preface this by obviously you pointing out, but I'll double down on it. It's a practice game. I remember last year when we were standing at Arden Street, the D's brought their third stringers. They did us so comprehensively, and we came on this exact podcast and we said, we're cooked, everything's bad. And then we beat them by 60 in round 2. So, and this isn't me trying to just find some positives. That's obviously a fact. That's exactly what happened. But, I'm not saying that's just going to repeat. I finished work. I didn't get to watch it live. I finished work and found out the score and then came back and watched. And even just finding out the score was gutting to me, mate, because even if we as a club are treating this as minutes into players and treating this as, let's just get the fitness up, I don't think that's a good enough attitude for what fans have been going through, especially when you hear Larky talk about the sympathy for the fans and things like that. And look, a win round 1 changes all of this, right? And we've got another chance next week against the Pies. And, Essendon destroyed Richmond today, or St Kilda destroyed the Gold Coast last night. Are those results going to happen in the season? Probably not. You wouldn't be banking on those, right? But I don't know. it's just bringing up a lot of Vietnam style flashbacks, mate, for me. And I'm not happy at all, to be honest. I think, I don't know. I know the club doesn't have to come out and say, yeah, we weren't going for it and the D's really wanted to impress. They don't have to tell us their level of intent, but I kind of think we deserve that, mate, because if they did just want to go get minutes, I guess we'll see next week in round one. But yeah, I'm not feeling great, to be honest. Let's get into some points, and we'll scatter around here. We're not going to be as structured as we were through the year with defense, forwards, mids. Let's just go around trading individual points from this game, right? I'm going to bring up the biggest one that stood out to me. The new ruck rule, Tristan Xerri looks completely lost. He was awful. And I don't even remember the guy's name in the ruck who was rucking against him. He got comprehensively beaten in the centre bounce. Now, around the ground, a different story. But he couldn't jump, mate. He couldn't jump. And he's had a week last week actually playing half of an AFL game. So he should be ready to go. He didn't play 80 minutes, like 80%, of that game last week. He would have played like half of it, right? What's happening? Because he couldn't jump, mate. He looked like he had bricks for shoes. This bloke in the ruck was towering over him with his leap. And the amount of easy breakaway clearances that provided the D's was embarrassing, mate. This is one of the best ruckmen in the comp. I understand the rule doesn't advantage his skill set, but this is a 26-year-old athlete who's near All-Australian, and he got towed up by a child. It was embarrassing, mate. He got absolutely towed up. And when he watches that back, I hope that whoever the Collingwood ruckman next week is going to get an absolute serve, because that feels like non-helmet Tristan Xerri.
Yeah, I mean, well, Collingwood next week, if they bring like Darcy Cameron, who these rules really seem to help a lot, to be honest, that'll be a real concern for us going into a game like that. Yeah, it's a real struggle for Cherry in this kind of setting. Like, obviously around the ground where you can wrestle and grab it out of the sky, a bit more and do that bit of work a bit more closer in. The one thing I will say with all the sim games have been very similar is that they've been very open and flowy, a lot more than they will be come season time. By the time the season starts, I don't think we'll see anywhere near as big an open field as we have. It'll close up a bit, and that's also going to, when the field's smaller, it helps a player like Cherry a bit more, whose tackling and intent around the clearance work is a lot higher. But no, he was beat. I mean, like, I'm not quite concerned yet.
Like, I'm not saying it's panic stations, but I'm just saying what I saw on this one individual game.
Yeah, no.
Like I said, if he comes back next week, and I think he's going to be a good ruckman in this league still, right? So, everyone listening to this, I know we're all intelligent out here. Don't take everything we're saying and drag it down a dark rabbit hole. Like, Tristan's still going to be a fantastic ruckman in this league, but I just haven't seen him get that comprehensively beaten by such a no-name ruckman. Or was he even a ruckman? I got no idea, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, Max Heath, he's a decent enough player, but like, as I said, the rule set suits him a bit more. I mean, I'd be like, Cherry by no means was like, he didn't have a great performance, but there was a lot of them that just were.
Oh, it was everyone. There was a couple lethargic of standouts, but and we'll talk about them. But yeah,
it was just really, really generally around the field overall. It was just fairly like the chasing wasn't like the intent difference between Melbourne and North Melbourne for me was really, really noticeable. Melbourne came in really, really seriously wanting to play and really seriously wanting to win. They honestly, and I've watched pretty much all the practice games. Melbourne's come in with probably some of the best intent out of all the clubs, and did it from the centre bounce or from the first bounce. They treated it very seriously, obviously. And we very clearly did not. And not only did we not treat it seriously, we took, for me, it was fairly obvious. We were just like really just not caring about the results and that. Like, it was, no one was going in hard in the contests. Everyone was sort of standing back and just waiting for the play to run through their legs. It just really felt, I was really flattened by the poorness of the attitude. Collingwood next week at Ballarat, obviously. I mean, there's a chance to redeem, but like, yet again, I mean, like, the major thing you want out of the Collingwood game, to be fair, is you don't want any injuries, which unfortunately we'll probably have to touch on one today. And, I just want to see us compete a lot more and at least have proper structures, because, I mean, I could ramble on about a lot of things, but as I said, the defensive when they got it into open field and started running it the other way, like it looked like North Melbourne last year at our worst, like the ability of the opposition to move the ball through us. So I don't think individually, some people said that they thought Chom looked a bit poor, I've heard, but I thought, their key forwards, Melbourne's key forwards, I thought were fairly well held, like Van Ruin, Jefferson, Myercheck got the first couple, but like I thought he was a bit lucky on one of them. But, I thought they were fairly well held for the day. I think it was as soon as the ball hit the ground, Melbourne just had numbers everywhere and they just beat us everywhere. They just beat the brakes off us. But I don't think it was the key forwards that did it. And I don't think it was strong marking in the forward line that did it for them. It was just poor North Melbourne, like really poor defense and transition defense.
Yeah, I mean, let's preface all this. It's preseason once again, so let's not lose our heads. But yes, be concerned. I don't think it's fair to tell anyone not to be concerned after that.
Yeah, no.
But it's not the end of the world just yet. But it could be next week. To be fair, if we play again like that.
Next week, honestly, it's the same for me. Like I'm annoyed by how poorly we did in our transition defense. Next week, I want to see an improvement. I don't want to see that again. But I don't care as much about the results still next week. It's first week, Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We want to look good at what we're trying to do, right? And I don't think we really showed any of that today.
Great.
Like we looked for defensive improvements. I mean, a few notes I've got on the defense here. Individually, our defenders playing this back shoulder thing were trailing. Logue, especially in the first half of the game, I think was caught 5 meters behind his bloke too often. And yes, they didn't turn into goals necessarily, but that will turn into goals through a better forward line. I think the D's probably one of the weaker forward lines in the league. So,
agreed completely.
Even giving them that chance, yes, they couldn't convert, but you give a good forward line those chances, and they're absolutely going to convert, and we're going to get absolutely destroyed. Like, I think, Chom, watching a couple of replays of him, like botting his player, playing that one-on-one, and then getting run off really easy and just trailing.
Yeah.
Their delivery into the 50 was a lot better than ours, and that's another thing I'm going to touch on. But, the back shoulder defending thing, with the quickness with which the D's were moving the ball through the middle, it didn't matter. It really did it.
Unless you defend up. I said, like, defenders are always going to be victims of what happens up the field. So, like, the defenders today, like, I mean, there's some real obvious gaps in our list, which is the ones we've been trying to cover, which is why Harvey's getting so much game time. Hardiman's, ankle, he rolled his ankle pretty significantly by the look of it. I'm not sure what the outcome is. Hopefully nothing too serious, but him going down just absolutely exposed. I mean, like, Cozzy Pickett just absolutely tore us apart. Like, and the thing that Cozzy does well is what Kirch will do well for us, which doesn't help that he didn't play, but it's that repeat run. Like, you would see him streaming down the wing and no one would go with him. They would leave him to the next zone of defense, and he just got he got multiple possessions in the same chain. I mean, he's an exceptional athlete, and we don't have any defenders that can honestly go with him. Like, I mean, it was Will Phillips last year. People were saying it was Cooper this year. It wasn't Cooper. Cooper was more against Latrell, and by the end of the game, he got a big guest Cooper. But like I said, that was staying on a lot longer. So, but like, we were just getting cowed everywhere. It was, they just beat us everywhere around the ground. It was just it was an embarrassing performance for the side to bring.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as that ball hit the ground, the D's were sweeping everything up. Like, where I would love, and I guess we can watch this when we're getting smashed this year, I'm sure. But like, where are our players on the ground? Why are the Demons players getting to the contest and having numbers? This is something I talked about every single week last year. Of why does it feel like the opposition has more players on the field when there's 5 Demons players sweeping up and we've got 2 guys trying to chase them around? Where are the other 3 players? Where's the accountability for that? The lack of defensive effort was so poor, mate. And they, like you pointed on before, they just chopped us up right through the middle of that ground.
Yeah.
The delivery into the forward 50 was as bad as it's been over the last 5 years. LDU can't, why does he kick the ball so high all the time? It's helicopters, mate. Just kicks the ball so high with no direction. All the midfield, every entry into that 50 was poor. It was poor. Even Darling had some space on the wing. I think someone shepherded, like Constanti sort of drew the man away from him, early in the second quarter. And Darling had a lot of space to work. And instead of even looking for somebody, He's just bombed it to 20 metres out directly in front.
Yeah.
That was all of our forwards got all day. And why? Like, I just don't understand. If I'm sitting here as a guy who's played very low level of football at best, right? And I can see these massive holes. Surely we're at a point now where you can just be like, hey, guy who's played AFL since he was 9 years old and now gets paid an absolute truck ton of cash to do it. How about you look to kick it to your teammate? Just like we're trying to go to the back line, and we didn't try and bomb it out of the back line as much, okay? This is one thing I'll pick up on. We did find open players a lot. We just didn't get it out. You know what I mean? They sort of held us there, chipping it around until we turned it over. But if we can lower our eyes and try and find someone off the half back line, why does it change when we go into the forward half of the ground? Why are these players with time and space? LDU broke away a couple of times. Darling had that space. There was other players that did it too. And we're just launching it. I'm over it, man. I can't believe I'm losing my head like this in a preseason game. But I just don't understand. Like, they've watched 3-4 years of footage of us bombing it into the forward line. Has anyone even talked about it at the club? Because that doesn't seem like it's very hard to fix to me, mate. That feels like that's just a sheer effort. Do you give a crap sort of thing?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think fairly similar on that. Like, there was a few noticeable people that kicked it okay into the 50. I think Hansen Jr. has actually been fairly impressive this offseason, which is a strange one. He got a game ahead of Bench. A couple of his deliveries into 50 really hit up targets. He was one of the few ones that probably got a couple of goal assists on the game. But, it's just, it's the same thing. I mean, like, it's pressure up the field. Melbourne around the ball pressure was far, far better. Like it's almost a burn the tape kind of game where you just look at it and you're like, yeah, we're not taking anything from this. Burn the tape. We burn a lot of tapes. And
the emissions, the greenhouse gas emissions we're putting into the sky from these tape burnings. I mean, where the problem with the Amazon rainforest, man?
Yeah. Oh no, it's just been terrible. Like, it's just been, like I said, like, I would be very curious to see what the club was trying to achieve today. Like it didn't feel like we came in with anywhere near the intent to compete as, like, I mean, I saw like a couple more harder efforts from players that are a bit more fringe on our side, but like, I mean, LDU I thought had a fairly okay game with you. I do agree with you completely though. He's kicking into 50. He needs a lot more work. Shees was fairly down for me today. I don't think he had a great one. Foss was good for what he was, but like, I thought he got shown up by the Melbourne midfielders by the same token. Parker just went through the motions, but like, I mean, I expect a Parker at 30 something years old to, either be going through the motions or not playing it. Darling, I thought was fairly strong today. Larky, I thought was fairly strong today for what they were given. It was just a bit down. Like, if we're going to talk about any positives, which there's got to be a few at least.
Let's get these in now before we start ranting again after the positives.
Yeah. Dersmer, I thought, had some really nice moments throughout the game. He had some really nice moments. He got the first goal of the game. He could have had another one and he nearly gave one off to Larky as well. I thought Durst was showing a fair bit. Like, whenever he touches the ball, he's very clean with it. He hits targets, which is very different than a lot of the other players in our list at the moment. So take that for what it is. So I think that was a really big Durst was one of my big ones for the game. CCJ in the first half, people have talked a lot of trash about him. He took a couple of nice contested marks and presented really well as a forward. He had the opportunity to kick a couple of goals. He didn't kick any for us in the end, but like, I thought he presented well. And for a guy that's not played a lot of footy, I think he's coming back fairly well. Whether or not he plays early in the season is another question, but like, I thought he competed fairly well in the ruck at different stages as well, considering how poor we looked. He pointed out with Cherry in there. I mean, there's not a huge amount of positives, to be honest, other than outside of, Durst was a big positive for me, but, it's not like he tore the game apart, but you see, I saw a lot more from him this game. Hardiman, unfortunately, going down to massive, big question mark and problem for us going into next, not just next week, but, start of the season. He's such an important player for us this year, Hardiman.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see how long it is. We didn't get any information on Taylor Goad's injury as well, which I thought we'd be getting yesterday. So
Yeah,
that was the rumor that the club
talk.
was going to, update us with that. But I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Ankles, I'm not overly. I mean, touch all the wood on the planet here. I am jinxing it, but they're not knees and things like that. So hopefully, it doesn't mean they could be out for a long time. But
I hate you right now.
If that is the case, then you can, don't kill me. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of. I thought Caleb Daniel was pretty good off half back. I think he provided a lot of run. I think he was.
He was the only one
he was
really
the only
doing
one
it.
really trying to run all day.
Hardiman was doing it when he was
I
there,
agree.
but Harden was doing it when he was there. But no, Caleb Daniel, I thought, was one of the few that did actually offer that. Darling looked very good, but I think
Darling's Jack Darling
looks really good.
That's just kind of what he is.
Jack Darling does.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I mean, the other points I've got here is Langdon kicked a point right in the late in the first, early in the second, and RHJ, Bailey Scott, and Riley Hardiman were all just pointing at each other to go to that individual person. There was two Ds in the vicinity. One of them was Langdon. There was 3 North Melbourne players, and they all just stood in between them all. Why is Robert Hansen Jr. near the back line? Why is Bailey Scott near the back line, mate? This is this thing we're falling back into of like my thing with Zach Banch. Like Zach Banch being down near the back line. I don't want them anywhere near that, mate. This is why we're excited about a Hardiman, about potential, go to potential in the future if he ever plays a game again. They're bigger bodies, they're more athletic, they're quicker, and they've got a penetrating kick. Every time the ball's around a half back line, you had these tiny little skinny fellas trying to tackle and chase, and there was no effort and there was no attack on the footy. I just don't understand. I don't understand how any AFL coach or coaching system can look at those guys and be like, you are the players to get down there. And I like Dylan Stephens. I thought he was okay. Like I said, Caleb Daniel probably was the best out of all of the halfbacks, along with Hardiman, until he went down. That's too many small people, mate. That's too many small, non-tackling, non-physical, non-defenders that are going down to the back line that are trying to help defend. What is going on? Mate, I just don't understand it. None of those guys have a defensive bone in their body, and they're the 4 that are always hanging down there. I get if Colby's down there or Daniel or maybe Dylan Stephens pushes down there. That's okay. But then there's groups of them, mate. There's 3 or 4 of them down there at a time, and Logue and Comben and Pink are just lost and trailing 5 meters behind their man. The D's had so much space all the time, and we're talking about them sweeping up, right? And the D's getting it on ground level, getting it out the back and getting a kick into the 50. It's because none of those guys I just named can lay a tackle,
Yeah, I think there's been mild improvement for Hansen Jr.
That's fine, but I don't want him to play.
No, I don't disagree.
He's not good enough, mate. If Hansen Jr. I've lost my head, Joel. I've lost my head.
What's going on with the Hansen Jr. hate?
If we're coming away from a game in 2026 where we're meant to be getting better as a football club, and we're saying Robert Hansen Jr. and RHJ, this is no disrespect, right? You're such a better footballer than I'll ever be. I'll never be that talented, and I hope he goes on and has a decent career. If we're coming out of this game where Sheasel, LDU, O'Sullivan, Larkey, all these players were playing, Zerhard did absolutely nothing all day, right?
Nothing.
And we're coming out of this saying Robert Hansen Jr. is the player that was the most impressive from the first quarter to the fourth. We're winning the spoon, mate. We're winning the spoon.
No, I completely agree.
Once again, I'm losing my head, and I know that this is a practice game, okay? But I'm getting flashbacks of bad times, and all my trauma is coming back to the surface here. Now, if they come out against Collingwood next week and put in a better performance, once again, I agree with you. The result, points-wise, doesn't matter until it maybe tips over. You lost by 40 plus. And then I think it's a bit rubbish of an effort, to be honest. You should have at least, I don't care if we lose to Collingwood by 15 points next week, as long as we look better defensively and our midfield gets on top. Our midfield, starting with Shees,
was slaughtered all day.
LDU, should be destroying that other midfield, D's midfield. And we got absolutely embarrassed, mate. So look, if they come out and beat the D's by 60 again, fine. I'll happily hold my hands up, but there's just nothing for me to be happy about and nothing for me to feel good. And sports sucks, mate. I've had a bad week with a lot of my sporting teams. I'm not happy, and maybe this is coming across from other codes, but I'm over it. I pay
Having a bad
$30 a month to watch for KO for the season, and the first thing that I get dished up is that for my money. You know, the membership's sorted, the KO subscription is sorted. I bought the new spray jacket that they released, which looks sick. But if they released that today, I would not be buying it. That's for sure. So you stole $150 off me there, North. I hope you're happy. I'm over it, mate. You go because I'm losing it. Just you handle the pod. I'm the guest. You go.
No, poor Josh. I get you, mate. It was a horrible effort, like all around. As I said, intent was the biggest thing for me throughout the game. There was just never an intent there to compete heavily. There was a couple of times where Melbourne just tackled a little bit harder and extended their tackles a bit harder, and they took it a lot more seriously than we did. And it was really evident in the way the game rolled out and the level of play that we put out. I think from a more analytical point of view, obviously the transition hurt us, but like one of the things that really cuts us open that we're really struggling to deal with is quick running midfielders who overlap through the play. We're not very good at stopping that. We're not very good at running with them, just maybe by process of our zone. But that's how that's why Cozzy Pickett looked very dangerous a lot of the times. Hanson was one of the very few people who would actually chase people through those situations. I completely agree with you, but no one's running with them through that contest. Like both the Picketts were doing the same thing. Windsor's very good at doing that. When it was kick, and long down the line, like we were fairly good at competing. We'd bring the ball to ground. The issue is once the ball hit the ground again, they were just more intent at getting the ball, would work harder. Like a lot of crumbing contests, they got first hands to it and got the goal, which is just really disappointing. Next week. That's all.
It's just another 7 days of just feeling like crap. You know what I mean? It's 7 more days of thinking everything's bad.
The season has started already for us emotionally.
This is the other problem I've got. You know, my Arsenal's killing me. You know, they're choking it up again like they always do. North is doing the same old thing that they always do. Why did I pick these teams, man? You know, look, I'm going to back.
Let's wait for the season before we go too.
I'm going to back the lads. I'll be up there in Ballarat next week. Okay, I'm using all my fuel. I spent my money on buying these stupid tickets to a preseason game. I'm going to be going. Literally, I'm working like 7 to 3 and then driving straight to Ballarat. Just for the North Melbourne Football Club after dishing up that rubbish, mate. So they better turn up because I'm putting in more effort than they did today just for me to go to Ballarat and see them play. All right? So
Hey, Josh, an emotional question for you and a quick question for you now. Could you see Clarko fired before the end of the season?
Yep. That's the first thing I thought. Because if that's the level of effort, then Now, I'm a big Clarkson backer, and I'm not going to just go back on all the things I've been saying for a while, right? I still think it's an incredibly high threshold for him to get sacked, okay? And once again, if that performance, if there's a single performance like that, except against like a Geelong or a Hawthorn, because I still think we're going to struggle with those teams. But if we perform like that from like a 6th place team and under, on multiple occasions, I can see a world where he's genuinely under an absolute truck ton of pressure. Now, I think the media put out this narrative that if he doesn't win 10 plus games, he's gone. That's rubbish, okay? And that's the stuff that I push back on. And once again, this is a preseason game and it's old wounds coming back to haunt me here. And if we come out next week and we look better, all is okay. I still think Clarkson is the guy to make us a better football club. And I think even if he did go, we're a better football club post Clarkson internally. How we're run,
agreed.
The young players are signed up, and we're in a better position, right? But if I see that again, apart from like 1 or 2 games where we're playing the top team, because I am going to still forgive those. I know a lot of fans won't, and that's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I still just don't. I think I'm locking in a 60-plus point loss when we play down in Tassie against the Hawks, and when we go down to the Cats Stadium in round 8 or whatever, we're getting done. Okay, I understand that. I
Yeah.
don't need that to feel like North Melbourne is getting better as a football club. I need us to get to 10, 9, 10 wins by the end of the season. We beat the teams below us by a lot. We compete with the teams around us and the early, like the bottom sort of finals teams, and we knock off a couple of teams that I'm like, wow, that's a really good performance. But
Yeah.
I hope and I pray that Clarkson's message was, it's minutes. Let's just get, and I think this is a ridiculous approach, by the way. But
I agree with you too.
let's just get minutes and runs on the board for us, and then we're going to ramp it up as we get closer to round one. I hope that's what it was. But I think that is the most idiotic way to approach a preseason when you've been a club that's been bottom 4 for 5 years in a row. We're not Geelong, we're not Collingwood, we're not these teams that can. If you see Scott Pendlebury cruising, everyone's like, that's cool. He's going to be good round one, and he will be good. Not our players, mate.
Yeah.
Not our players. So I don't know, man. Is there a world where Clarkson gets fired? Yes, but it would have to be very, very low. But what I saw today was very, very low. So you've really hit on a little emotion there for me. I don't think he gets fired this season, but and I back him. I do. But my God, I hated what I saw today, mate. And it's genuinely ruined my weekend.
It was disgusting. Yeah, no, it was disgusting today. There's not a lot of positive to take away, except next week we've got an opportunity to redeem ourselves a little bit.
Doesn't that sound like us for the last 5 years, mate? Doesn't that sound like what we say every time we do this pod?
Every
Next
single
week we
week,
can
yeah.
redeem ourselves because we just got embarrassed again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, but like, absolutely. The only saving grace for today is it is a sim game. There's very little to take away from it other than minutes. Like, result means absolutely nothing at all. I mean, there was one preseason a couple of years ago where we belted Collingwood off a park and
That
just
was when
looked so
North
much
Ball
better
was
than them and beat them in
invented,
both the thing.
We went on to
That's when North Ball was
3 games
invented.
that year, I believe.
And we did go on to win 3 games, 2 of the
Lose
first 2
20 in
games,
a
and
row.
then lose 20 in a row and then win the game that stops us from getting Harley Reid.
Great.
That's the...
You're really making this a positive environment right now, Joel, with these Clarkson questions and losing on.
But
it's...
But like sim games, honestly, don't
look, I
matter
do
too
agree
much.
with you.
But
Let's break this down a little bit here because I think the fans come to this pod for realism, but also let's find the positives when they're there. Because if we're just ranting, and look, I hope that I genuinely lost my head in the
because
middle
it
of
is
this
bad
pod,
today.
right? You guys heard that, and that's going to be on the internet forever, which is fantastic. Okay, but me and Joel, we did not speak that much before we started recording this. We got on the chat, and I said, let's just start this, and we're going to make it as raw as humanly possible. And I didn't think I was going to lose my head like that, and I did, and that's because I care a lot. Okay, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's what makes us hurt the most. But if you want me to. If I was doing this podcast in 24 hours time, I'm trying to think what I would say because the feelings are always different. I never, after a performance, I'm always raw and very emotional. That's why I've learned do not pod directly after the game. And then the next day you have some different thoughts and can think a little bit clearer. So I'm going to try and put my, future 24-hour sort of hat on here. It is just a practice game. And but I've been saying to people all week, the result doesn't matter, but the effort and the performance does. And I have to stick by the things I've been saying. And that's why I'm so upset. We didn't need to win today. I wasn't fussed if we won or lost. It was the way it happened and the lack of effort that we did. It's preseason. No one got any points or lost any points. This doesn't affect our ladder position. But they're on thin ice, mate. They're on bloody thin ice. Next week, I don't care if Clarkson doesn't want preseason games to matter. They matter to us. And if you don't want if you want the fans to buy memberships, you want the fans to turn up round one, you'll pull something out of the bag tomorrow to show us why we should give you our money, why we should give you our time, our support. Because I love this football club, mate, and I know everybody out here listening to this does. And we support them in different ways. But it's not always just up to us to blindly follow this team, and keep spending the money and keep buying the memberships. It's on them to give us reasons to do that. As a fan, and I know a lot of fans are going to agree with this, all I need is an inch and I'll take a mile with this football club, right? And like I said, I'm signed up. I bought the merch. I'm going around one, and I feel like a bit of an idiot right now. And I think a lot of people are feeling like that, mate. And I'm driving up to Ballarat next week after I've just worked 8 hours, straight to Ballarat to go and watch North Melbourne play Collingwood after we've just dished up that. So North Melbourne, I know you're listening. Please, give us something. Give us something. We don't need a lot. We're loyal fans. We're the most loyal fans in the game, okay? But you need to give us a crumb of something to know we can still eat. Please, for the love of God. Oh, man. I don't know. Where are we even going with this, Joe? I hope everyone listening to this podcast is getting the closure. This is the vent you needed, okay? I hope I'm acting like all of our brains are feeling right now. This is what I've always wanted the pod to be. I've talked about this the whole 3.5 seasons we've done this. I'm a fan. I'm going to react as raw as possible. I don't make up things I don't believe. I've gone from being super negative to super positive, and now this podcast I'm super negative again. This is the roller coaster of being a fan. So if anything, I hope this podcast has helped at least vent some frustrations for everybody. I am lucky enough, and everyone listening to this has given me a platform to speak for North fans. So I'm going to rant for you guys, and I'm going to say how goddamn awful we were today. So, everyone feels like there's a bit of a release there. Everyone's going to be ranting to their mates. I'm sure in the workplace tomorrow or over the weekend, if you're catching up with your boys or your girls, everyone's going to be like, hey, mate, good luck to North this year. And inside, you're going to laugh on the outside and say, oh, yeah, it's just a preseason game. And on the inside, I'm dying. I'm crying, mate. I'm absolutely bawling my eyes out. So, oh, man, I don't even know if I've got any more notes from this one, to be honest. I think this has just been a big vent session. The only other one I haven't said is, where is Doveston in the forward 50? Because he's just playing in between the arcs the whole time. And this is the thing I don't like about – I've said this about versatility in players. You've heard me say this many, many times.
Yeah.
I don't care that Doveston can play up the ground. I need him to play in the 50 around the goals when the ball hits the ground. Guess who's meant to play up the ground?
They need the ball to get into the 50
well,
to
LDU
actually
made sure it went really deep
ball.
into the 50 to nobody. Now, who is meant to be playing up the ground? The midfielders. Okay, and they're just nowhere to be seen. I don't want Robert Hansen pushing a half back. I don't want Doveston pushing to the wing. When he handballs the ball to someone, LDU torps the thing and it bounces on the ground and the D's sweep it up. And our guys are like, oh, where are all the small players that we drafted and have trained up? God's sake. Okay, all right. I'm relaxed. I'm okay. Oh, please, guys, subscribe for my mental health, but put your comments down below on YouTube. Do you vent down below, okay? Nothing is off limits. The club doesn't deserve any graces after that. Put down below your feelings, vent. If my mental capacity is there, I'll try and reply to some, but honestly, I want to switch off and not talk about North Melbourne until I come back from Ballarat next week. So I can't do this again this year, Joel. I can't, mate. And
not again.
And it feels like it's going to happen. And it's a preseason. It's okay. We can redeem ourselves next week. Nothing was for points. And maybe we come out round one and we smash the Power by 60. Okay. But right now I'm not feeling good. So
I don't have a lot of faith going into round one, but that being said, round one's going to be different than preseason, hopefully. And preseason, preseason's different.
It is. Well, good luck out there, North fans. We might just leave it there, I think. We'll talk to you in about a week's time, unless something else happens through the week, and when we can make a video if we find out Goad and Riley Hardiman's injuries, and I'm sure that there's other stuff going on. Who knows? But we'll be here with any news that you need. So please subscribe. Thank you to everyone listening to Apple and Spotify. 5-star reviews. Leave a review. That would help me so much. Stay strong out there, North fans. I'm here for you every week, talking about North in my spare time. God help me, Joel. Thanks for coming on again, I guess. See you guys. Love you guys. Go North.